A young man decided one evening that he wanted to learn the ways of shamanism. Now, his goals when he decided to do this were to perhaps find some way to self-improve himself or help change the world for the better. But ultimately, what he found was a dark journey of self-discovery that left him with a life lesson about the fact that some doors are best left unopened. Hello, I am Erudi and welcome to Moonskull. If you are a fan of horror, sci-fi, the paranormal, or the unexplained, you are in the right place. I am going to tell you this story submitted by Hayden75 in just a moment, but first, let me show you how you can best show us your support. Please help us in our journey to bring the paranormal, sci-fi, horror, and unexplained to you by going to the video description below, clicking on the link, and leaving a tip. Thank you. I fucked around and found out. This is a bit long, but I think the context is important. Now, this story takes place about 10 years ago, but I still feel the effects of everything that happened. It doesn't sound like any of this is real or possible, but it is. I was about 23 and was getting curious about shamanism and the ways to help people with Reiki or something. I found a video on YouTube of some hippie guy talking about ways to connect with your higher self. Since I was so curious, I thought, why not? I'll just follow what this guy is teaching. It involved months of learning to calm yourself and center yourself, feeling energies around you and all that. It was cool, and I thought I was experiencing something, so I dug deeper. I stumbled upon the practice of astral projection, using your spirit or mind to push through the physical world, maybe across the stars and maybe even into different dimensions. I found several places talking about different ways to do this, but the one I chose to try involved finding a space between being awake and asleep. It took a lot of focus and months of practice every evening, and eventually I figured out how to do this. I still do this to catch a quick rest to this day. The next step was to focus on seeing what was referred to as the door. You had to push your way through it with your mind, but once on the other side, people would warn not to look at or acknowledge the beings you saw there. Now, this is all theory to me, but I was curious, so when I pushed through finally, I had to look. I don't remember what I saw, but I jolted myself awake and decided I wasn't doing this anymore. Something freaked me out, and I was good. Here's the scary. A few months later, my roommate was out staying with his girlfriend, and I decided to just see if I could reach that point again. So I did some focus prep, staring at the space of a lit candle between the wick and the flame, and gave it a shot. As I pushed through the door, the visualization just disappeared. I was just laying in the bed in the dark, and then I heard something. I turned my head and saw a short, skinny silhouette that I only know to describe as gnome-like going through my closet. I didn't know what to do, so I just watched it. It was pulling out my shoes and clothes like it was looking for something. Then I noticed there were more of them around my room. Physically, they were moving things. It was dark, and I couldn't see features, but at this point I was terrified of them noticing me. I was trying to convince myself I just fell asleep and that this was all some kind of nightmare, but then I heard the voice inside my head. Now, it wasn't physical, it was in my mind. At first it was scratchy sounding, and I couldn't understand it, but over a few moments, the voice started to clear up and became more feminine sounding. Soft and friendly. I remember it saying, "Ignore them. They won't hurt you. They're just curious." It shocked me. Now, my eyes were open and I could feel something else on the other side of my bedroom door. I didn't want to think. I didn't want it to hear my thoughts. I didn't know if I could move. I was completely terrified. Then it said, "I know what you're trying to do. You want to see the other side. I can help you. I can guide you." My first thought was, "What are you?" And it answered, "You would not understand what I am, but you may call me Ashley." Now, at that time, my bedroom door slowly opened, letting in a little bit of light, but it was quickly drowned out by the shadow that crawled across the room on my ceiling. Its shadowy legs and arms stretched for a few feet along the wall, and it perched itself in the corner up above the door. I couldn't see a face, but I knew it could see me. Now, the next bit is kind of foggy. I don't remember exactly what happened. I remember the gnome-like beings taking notice of this Ashley and then moving away from it towards the closet. I remember thinking that I could use the help, then the terror returning. I realized I couldn't move when it started to climb on the ceiling, positioning itself above my bed. I tried to sit up, and I felt like my spirit was lifting out of my body, but my physical body wouldn't move. It got closer and closer to me, and somehow I flung myself off the side of the bed and was able to move again when I hit the floor. I jumped up, and a standing lamp near the door fell to the ground, and everything was gone. My room was trashed, just like someone or something had been digging through my stuff, and my bedroom door was cracked open. Now, I always sleep with my door closed completely. I always have. The next night, I remember feeling the same energy on the other side of that door, but this time there was no communication. I wasn't trying to cross through anymore. That was the last time. Now, jump ahead a few months, and then the nightmare started. Gruesome, horrifying nightmares that woke me from a dead sleep. Then I couldn't go back to sleep. As I'd fall asleep, I'd hear things like a loud bang, a growl, or footsteps, any loud sound that there was no evidence of actually happening. A couple years later, while staying at an ex-girlfriend's house, I was sleeping and her friend were in the living room with her toddler daughter. It was a little after midnight, and I woke up when the toddler let out a blood-curdling scream. I heard the door slam, and my ex, with her screaming daughter in her arms and her friend right behind her, shut the bedroom door. They were all crying. My ex managed to stammer out, I don't know what it is. She saw it, and then I saw it, and I panicked. Naturally, I got up, I grabbed a gun, and I went to the door. All the street lights were out, but I saw the silhouette in the street. The long arms and legs were unmistakable. And then, it was gone. Just about 2 years ago, I was talking to somebody that I had met online. We were talking about spooky things, and she told me a somewhat similar story, but in her story, the thing wanted to kill her. I told her this story and described what I saw. She said the description was exactly what she saw. Then she said, I really don't think we should talk to each other again. I just said I agree, and we stopped. Now, I still have those nightmares every time I dream. I still have the same problems, falling asleep. But I haven't seen it since that last time about 6 years ago when I saw it on the street. And that was the scary story submitted to us by Hayden75 about his paranormal experience with some sort of extraplanar being that he discovered through shamanism. So what did you think of that story? Did it freak you out? Did it make you think? Do you now want to explore shamanism yourself and see what's beyond the door? Or are you now of the belief that some doors are better left unopened? Leave a comment in the comments down below. Let us know what you thought, if you've had similar experiences, or maybe you've heard similar stories from other people. And thank you for tuning in and watching Moonskull, and let me remind you this is the place to come find out about horror, sci-fi, the paranormal, and the unexplained, and I am very grateful for your viewership, and can't wait to share more of these scary stories with you. Until then, I will talk to you later.